Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way, have a seat with me today in the corner booth celebrating our 84th week. Sweeney clear the floor, Katie bar the door, Molly put on another pot of Irish coffee. It's time we get this show on the road. We got another full house today, not a chair to spare. Among today's topics, Houston is the name of the day, County Dublin is the book of the week, searching for Donahue, Holmes, Plunkett, Rainey, and Brown, Swords Historical Society, half-hanged MacNaughton, 1871 census records released, and the Mad Dogs Motorcycle Club. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host. You can reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com, and you can check out all the written show notes on my blog. So I advise you to go there. You might find something extra, and you could be able to click on some links that'll take you just to where I'm talking about. And you can also search for all of our books and videos and podcasts at irishroots.com. And you can phone 816-256-3360 and leave your comments on my recorder. Try it, you'll like it. Well, let's see here. That also reminds me you can get all three of my free broadcasts online. Irish Song and Recitation Festival, which is about ready to go into its second season. And then there's Irish in America, which is a separate broadcast. And this broadcast right here, which is Irish Families Worldwide. Okay. And we also have the Irish Families Worldwide enhanced version, which has some photos and links that come along with it if you can receive that sort of thing. I think it's time now we moved into notes for the week. Well, here's a note on the surname of Reaney, and email told me, it says, hello, Mike, I'm inquiring whether you know anything of the Reaney surname. We are Catholic, based in County Mayo. We are told that the name is from Leitrim, then Westmeath, and have found many Celtic tales of O'Ragni or O'Reaney, our Irish name, in books. Are you aware of where the name comes from? Is it Celtic, Norman, or Viking? Any help greatly appreciated. Kind regards, Karen. Well, let me see. Most of what I have is on my webpage at irishroots.com, and there are a couple names that can be confused with a name like Reaney, such as Rainey. Rainey would be a name that's most oftenly considered of English extraction, but it seems like you don't think that's the case for your family. And most of my records show that name is in the north of Ireland. And of course, if you find it in the records and there's an O before the name, that would of course seem to rule out Viking or Norman heritage. But sometimes that O was dropped or added at will, and sometimes they put it back on names that weren't Irish in the first place. But that's more of a rarity, I think, and I'm sure you're aware of all that. But I'll see if I can put your question out here, and if anybody else can help, just give us a holler. And, of course, you can go to our free surname search and see what your spelling or another spelling might have of it. You're spelling it Reaney. So maybe we can scare up some help for you. Note number 2, talking about, I think that's Tuam County, Galway. And it says, hi, I've been researching my ancestral background for 3 years and have finally traced my great-great-grandfather back to, now the spelling here says Tuan. I think that means Tuam, County, Galway. Could you advise me which would be the best method to find exactly where he would have lived, or which ancestry site would be most suitable? We live in Sheffield, England. Many thanks for your time. P.L. Gillespie, Nee Walsh. Well, boy, you're really lucky to have come that far with your family name, and most people would really be glad to be that far ahead in the search. But since you are already back to the town in County Galway, first step would be to check the County Galway Family History Centers there. Family Heritage Centers, and you can find that on the web real quick with a link, and I've had it in some of our other podcasts, but you can just type in County Galway Heritage Center, and you'll find it real quick. That'd be a first stop. And of course, you always like to check the county libraries out just for any miscellaneous information or researchers that you might turn up. That can be pretty interesting. So those are two good starts. Plenty more can come from after that, but you didn't give me what date, how far back it goes, but great-great-grandfather, you're starting to get it back there in the old times. So that'd be a good first stop for you, the old Heritage Center in County Galway. Number 3, the 1871 census. I've got a note here that says World Vital Records have released the 1871 UK census, and that's in addition to 41, 61, 81, and 91. And I think that world collection might cost you about $100 or so to gain access, but there's a lot of records in that. And that collection also has Ireland, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the U.S. Number 4, I just heard that John McCain in the first presidential debate, and he said that Ireland had a much lower tax rate for business than the U.S. But then Barack Obama countered and said that with all the loopholes in the U.S. tax system, that the U.S. businesses really paid less. So I don't know where that leaves us, but that's about par for the course, I think. Well, now we're going to move on to the books of the month. Well, we've got a look here at the families of County Dublin, Ireland, and I got a link to that on our webpage. You can go right to the description for that book, but I've got a little extract on the blog to give you an example of what was in the book, at least in the first, the introduction. It talked about all of us doing research in the Dublin area, and there's been brick walls, and of course now more and more information is coming on every day, and Dublin's been real active digging up records. But I also mentioned things like the Rotunda Maternity Hospital, which was begun about 1756, and the LDS has films that are available on that for most of the registers of labor patients from 1797 to 1882, and women would check in there and they would actually give birth. So not all the births were done at home way back then. Here's just another example of the exception to the rule. Number 2, we also have the County Dublin Ireland Genealogy and Family History Notes book. I've also got a link to that on the blog. And we'll also talk about County Dublin families found on the map of the Four Masters. And that's the map in the history of Ireland by the Four Masters, the Connellan translation that I published a few years back. And what families do we show there? Of course, trouble is now just about every family can have a representative in Dublin. It's Dublin City because it's just such a big area. It's a metropolitan area, and you can find just about anybody there. But go back in the earlier days, who are we going to have there as main families shown on that map? Well, the families like Bagot and Barnwall and Burnell, De Courcy, Cruz, Delahoyd, Fagan, Fitzeustace, Fitzsimmons, Fitzwilliam, St. Lawrence, Kelly, Plunkett, Preston, Sarsfield, Seagrave, Talbot, Taylor, Tyrrell, Walsh. I'm telling you, they just keep on coming. But that's from the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters on the map. And, of course, there's more information in the text of that book on just about all those families. Hey, it's time I remind you, coming up later in this episode, we're going to talk about the story of Half-Hanged McNaughton. I wonder what that's about. But now it's time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks, and ask for help. Here are today's Magnificent 7. Number 1, new gold member Carolyn Zoyce of Kennebunk, Maine, researching the family line of Captain Francis Houston, born in the mid to late 1600s, died 1729, married Elizabeth Margaret Edwards, nee Gunning, 1710 in Dublin. Francis's father was George Houston, and they're trying to trace George and who and where he was from. They would like to trace them back to Scotland. Well, boy, we sure like to help you too. I'll have a little bit more on that a little bit later in this podcast. Anybody out there can help, be sure to get in contact with me and I'll put you in touch. Number 2, new member Steve Andrusevic of Kansas City, Missouri. Searching for Donahue of Kansas City and of Glen Flesk. I haven't heard from Steve in a long time. He's one of my extended family members. Good to see some of the younger generation up and researching the family there. Number 3, new member John Holmes of Wentworth Falls, New South Wales, says, I am a descendant of Holmes from Ireland and am stuck on finding any information. Well, any of you folks out there have connections with Holmes, Holmes, pass the word on. Number 4, new member Moya Hawthorne of Whitechester, Hampshire, United Kingdom. Plunkett and Brown family history is what they're after. Number 5, thanks to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. for ordering a copy of Missouri Irish. That's the original history I wrote back in '84 and just updated it here in the last year. Number 6, Margaret Morgan of Bray Park, Australia. Your 2 books on County Limerick and the Book of Irish Families have shipped. Number 7, Cecilia Fabos Becker of San Jose, California. Your Irish Families book, Clare Genealogy book, and 1659 census have shipped. Oh, and I'll have a link there where you can check out some more of our searches we have online on the blog. Just click on that. It'll take you there. And that reminds me to say thank you to all of our members. Without you, these podcasts would not be possible. Well, that brings us up to the Irish family name of the day. Well, our name today is going to be Houston, and that's in honor of member Carolyn Zoyce, as given earlier in this show. And she's searching for that info we mentioned on George Houston. Well, first of all, we take a look at the related spellings of the name by going to the Master Guide to the Spelling of Irish Family Names, and we find it in variant spelling groups 921 and 940. I've got all those spellings on the blog, but names like, of course, Houston is what she's looking for, she thinks, but it could be Huston, or it could even be a variant of McHugh, or become confused with it because of the Hugh in the beginning of the name. And of course, there's also, you'll find in the records, names like Mech Houston and names like Hewson, Hewson. So keep your eyes out there, folks. It's like a detective game. And the history of the name, well, we don't have a whole lot to dish out there today, but we find the Houston family of Orangefield and of Rawdons, County Down, given in the Irish Book of Arms. And the birth index finds the family centered in Antrim, Londonderry, Armagh, and Down, and that's all up there in the north. So that gives you some clues, and of course that would also connect to Scotland possibly, if that's what you're looking for. Lots of those Scots settled in the north, and lots of those Irish went over to Scotland too, so those bloodlines are really interlinked. And like we say, we found Houston of Grangefield, County Down, with illustrated arms in the Irish Book of Arms. Got a link to that book on our blog as well. Now, if we take a quick look at the Free Master Index search of Irish names, we're going to find the family listed, a lot of times. We'll just say it's in the 1659 census, it's in the birth index, and I found the name of Houtson found in the County Donegal Genealogy and Family History book, and I guess that could be Houtson, but I'm thinking it might be Houston. That would be a common little typographical error, so to speak. And there's also Houston with an E on the end of the name, found in the Scottish Max book, which of course connects to your Scottish request there. And there's 2 listings in the County Derry genealogy book, and the same for the County Down genealogy book. Multiple listings are also found in the names of Irish passengers to America. Well, now we're going to move on to what? Nothing but the websites of the week. Well, the first website's going to be one for Swords County Dublin Historical Society. You can just click on the link in my blog, and that's at Carnegie Library, North Street, Swords County, Dublin. I've also got the phone number and the email there for that organization, should you need to get them. That's on the blog. And we also have listed there their hours are 1 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, all year round, they say, and by appointment only otherwise. We've also got the list of the Catholic parish registers that they cover, and also the Church of Ireland parish registers that they cover. And just click on that link on my blog, take you right there. And we've also got a web page of the day, number 2, the Houston family. And that's notes on the family of General Sam Houston, whose father was said to be born in Scotland but died in Ireland. I think that was in Ulster. So that's our web pages for the day. That ought to keep you busy if you've got any interest in those particular items. Time to move on now to Curious News and Notes. Hey, it's going quickly today. That's great. The National Plowing Championship was recently held in County Kilkenny, and they had a record 208,000 people in attendance. It caused such a traffic jam and congestion that they decided they'd set aside 400 acres for parking. Boy, next year's contest is going to be in Athy, County Kildare, and they should be ready for the traffic jam. They said that usually they're in a bunch of muck and mud in Ireland this time of year for that festival, but this year it was dry and they actually had dust clouds, which was a whole different problem. Number 2, like I told you earlier, there's somebody called Half-Hanged McNaughton. Nickname Old Lucky, I bet. But it seemed that old John McNaughton married one Mary Ann Knox of Prion House in County Down, and Mr. McNaughton was found guilty of murdering his wife and was hanged unsuccessfully 3 times. I don't know exactly what happened, if the rope broke or if he could hang well. And they said that after that he could have set himself free just because of the fact that there was 3 attempts and it didn't work according to the law. But he chose no, he didn't want to get out of it. He chose to be hanged a 4th time, and that time it was successful. He's been known as Half-Hanged McNaughton ever since. Number 3, the Mad Dogs Motorcycle Club covered all 32 counties in Ireland. In under 18 hours they drove that, and they raised about 5,800 pounds for a children's charity in the fight against cancer, a great and noble cause. And the Mad Dogs are found in Lisnaskea in County Fermanagh. Or Lisnaskea. Well, I'm not sure how you say that. That would sound like a Polish accent. Number 4, the Irish National Hot Air Ballooning Championships are just being held, and Joe Daly was set to command a 90,000 cubic feet balloon over the island with Discovered Waterford logo on it. And he's also got some other things planned. That should be a fun little ride. Number 5, the biggest beer fest in all of Ireland will be held in Galway the weekend of October 25. And perhaps the Mad Dogs Motorcycle Club will be there along with a few hot air balloons, a few plowmen, and Half-Hanged McNaughton might even show up. That last time might not have worked. Of course, it's been quite a while ago. Well, let me see. We got time, I guess, just for one more note. I've got a friend that suggested we get into the music area things and have some fun. And so I think I might just go learn how to sing and then try to... I can't sing any of these modern things because there's already too many people doing it. I'd sound too bad. So what I might do is get together and learn some of these old songs from the 1800s that the Irish sang in America when they first came over, and try to interpret some of them and learn a little bit about the history, and maybe make a CD about that or put that on the webpage. Of course, you wouldn't be expecting too much now because I'm a rank amateur, but I'm going to be trying real hard. That reminds me, remember to send your comments by clicking the contact link on our webpage at irishroots.com, or send by mail to our American address, the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360. And you can Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe. Members foot the bill so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.